Okay, mommy. I see you. I see you. I see you. She getting her physique back. She getting the bob back. I think so. I mean, I know you be wearing the wrap or whatever it's called.
The belly binder.
Yeah, the belly binder. But besides that, man, it's coming back, baby. It's coming back. You glowing.
Not just that though. My boobies are a little bigger.
Yeah, you know I like that. Come on now. But that's besides the point, you guys. Today's video is more of a sit-down video, so I guess we should go
sit down.
Pop a squat on the couch. A little story time. So today's video is a little bit of a
story time, very recent story time about our labor and delivery.
Which you guys know how it went, but you don't know how it went, if that makes sense. Like, we told you what happened. We told you she had to have an emergency Sally sells seashells by the seashore. Oh, an emergency why am I having trouble with that? Oh, but I kind of like left it at that. I felt like it wasn't my, well, not that it wasn't my room to say, but I thought it'd be better if we, you know, both talked to you guys together. Since it was something that Langie went through, I thought obviously, you know, she should tell her side as well. So I thought we'd do a little story time. So
should we just start from the very beginning of when labor started?
Yeah, I'd say all up until
that very morning.
The very morning. Because I think, I'm almost positive that's what kind of caused the C-section in a way, and we'll obviously explain that right now. So you want to take it away, baby?
So October 6th, almost said 7th, but October 6th, so it was on a Thursday. I had an appointment for 9:50 a.m. It was just supposed to be like a, you know, last normal checkup, whatever. So we went in, did the regular checkup, whatever. We were actually scheduled to get induced the next day, Friday, at like 8 p.m. So it was like, no matter what, if labor didn't happen, we were gonna get induced. But because we went in for that appointment, she was like, do you want another membrane sweep? And because I already had one that didn't work, I was like, nah, I don't want to go through it again. No, I don't want a membrane sweep. Yeah, you guys know the week prior or the week before that, Langie got a membrane sweep done. And we were like totally like kind of hype on that because we thought it was going to work and we thought she would put her into labor, etc., etc. We kept you guys posted on all that. And it didn't seem to work. So I was like, no, I don't want another one, just because I didn't want to go through it again. I was like, I didn't like it, whatever.
Plus it didn't work.
Yeah. But then we were talking to the doctor a little bit more, and she said
she kind of scared us into having a membrane sweep or getting the second membrane sweep. Only because, not scared, that's the wrong word, but like she convinced in not such a good way either, not such a good manner. She basically said, because she knew we were getting induced the next day, she said, well, getting induced can take, you know, 4 to 5 days in the hospital. And we were like, whoa.
We don't want to spend that long.
A whole week almost in the hospital. Like, you know, we're good off that. Even though we knew, you know, on an average, it's, you know, like 2 or 3 days in the hospital. But 4 or 5, I'm thinking 5. I hear the number 5. I said 5 days in the hospital. I look at Langie, she looks at me, and
we were like, oh, we don't want to spend 5 days in there. She was like, it might not take that long, but I just want to let you know it can happen. I was like,
so she like made us, you know, it was convincing. It was convincing that it was going to take a long time getting induced, and so it made,
yeah, but then I was also like, you know what, maybe I'll give it another chance, because I want labor to kind of just like start on its own with a little jump start, instead of like going in to like, you know, get induced for it to start. So I was like, fine, if it's not too late, then do the membrane sweep. And so she was like, it's not too late, and then she did it. Oh my god, you guys, let me tell you, it was so much worse than the first time. No wonder the first time did not work. Okay, the nurse did it so much softer the first time. But this one, she was like, are you ready? I was like, yeah, expecting it to just be like kind of like last time. But as soon as I said yes, her hand went straight up there so hard, and she just literally like
my point of view too, it deadass looked like her arm, like I saw her arm do like some jolt, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm like, babe, you good?
Like my body literally like went up and stuff, and it was like painful. And then after that, you know, I just felt like I started getting like a little uncomfy. It wasn't really like labor yet, but it was like, well,
we kind of picked up the camera after that. We told you guys, you know, in that vlog, if you watch our labor and delivery vlog, that's pretty much where we picked up the camera was after that appointment, and we told you guys Langie got a sweep done, and that, you know, what was happening, yada yada yada. And the reason we're telling you guys, the reason we're starting from here, even if this seems like some repeated information, is because
that membrane sweep is probably why I got an infection, and the cause for my emergency C-section was because I had an infection in my uterus. And then thinking about everything that happened, the only thing that made sense was because of the membrane sweep, because the membrane sweep literally started my labor, and like an hour or two after that I went into like active labor. It didn't even start off slowly, it started off painful right away because I started dilating really fast and all that, and so on and so forth. As you guys saw in our previous video, I went into labor. We were admitted to the hospital, yada yada yada, and then I was in labor for about 10 hours. We went in at around 2 or 3, I think.
No, it was like 1.
Oh, and I was literally dilated until 9 centimeters. 1 more centimeters and I would have been ready to push, you guys. So
well, what's really fucked is, like, it was a terrible experience. For one, she wasn't planning on having a C-section whatsoever, which was obviously heartbreaking. But on top of that, she just said she was 9 centimeters dilated and in labor and in the hospital for 10 hours before they even really mentioned anything of an infection.
Yeah.
Like, they literally didn't even really mention anything.
No.
Until she's like 9 centimeters dilated. Doctor comes in and she's like, she's talking about, you know, hopefully you're a good pusher, this and that, this and that. And just in case, there's also, you know, I just want you to know that there's a very small chance that, you know, a C-section is always an option. So I just want you to know that Langie's like, I don't know what a C-section is. She's like, okay, good. Didn't make us think you know, that she was having a C-section. It's just, you know, really just came in to talk to her and stuff. And then
because like the whole time when I was in labor, they were like trying to get my blood levels right and whatever, but they didn't mention anything at all about an infection.
Right, like I just thought that was like protocol.
Yeah,
you know, I didn't think they were doing everything they were doing because of an infection, which is I think really messed up. I think it would have been nice to give her a heads up, because then at 9 centimeters dilated, after the doctor came in and talked like that, doctor left, and probably about 20 minutes later, if that,
she came back and she was like,
completely different energy. She comes back in
and she was like, you know, the best option for you and baby right now is to have an emergency C-section, because in the ward right now, you are the most sick pregnant women in the room, and we really want to take care of you, so the C-section is the best option for you. And it was like, we literally had no time to like talk about anything, think about anything, and we were just like,
it was like, caught so off guard. I know my heart dropped for her.
Yeah,
I know how, you know.
Yeah, I was like really scared because literally they gave us no warning. I felt fine, but except for, you know, I thought it was just like labor pains, epidural or whatever, because 5 minutes before that she was like, I'm really hopeful you're gonna be a really good pusher. And she comes back, she was like, you know, you're the sickest one here. If you don't,
like, why didn't she say then?
Yeah,
you know, it's like they wait till last minute to say that there's an infection and that she has to have a C-section, which I found so messed up. Just to like hit her like that. You know, we're not doctors, but I'm just saying it how I saw it. I thought it was extremely messed up. I thought there should have been some sort of heads up. If they were doing all these tests, they could have at least told us they were doing it because of an infection. And they also made it sound like, you know, she wasn't gonna be okay and he might not be okay, so it was like the only thing that we could do. Now, to be honest,
she started saying scary stuff like, you know, if you don't have the C-section now, you may go septic and all that stuff. If you don't know what septic is, you could just look it up. And it really scared me because
you don't have to talk about it. It's okay. You don't have to talk about it if you don't want to. Okay. Okay. Basically, you guys, there's these. It just seemed like the doctors were trying to scare us to make things go faster, which I thought was kind of messed up. I understand there's other patients and there's other people in labor and stuff, but it felt like, because we're younger, that they kind of took advantage of us in a way and tried to rush the whole process. And I know Langie probably did have an infection. Not probably, she did. but I don't know if it was as bad as they made it sound like, and they just want to rush the process and not go through the hours of pushing or whatever, even though it could have went really fast. You don't know, maybe Langie was going to be a really good pusher. We didn't get to find out. But to go back to the beginning of this video where we were talking about the sweep, the reason we brought that up is because we talked to a lot of people afterwards, and a lot of people said membrane sweeps often can give you an infection. Yeah. Now the nurse didn't tell us that morning, the doctors didn't tell us that. They acted like, no, that's not possible or whatever. But we've talked to several people since then, and they've all told us that the nurse should have told us when she did the membrane sweep that it can cause an infection, because I guess that's something that nurses often will tell you before they do the sweep. So, you know, this whole time, like, I'm getting kind of heated in the labor room and stuff, because I'm saying, well, where's this infection coming from? And they're like, you know, we don't know. I'm like, how would you guys not know prior to this? You know, was it like, could it have been the sweep? They're like, no, there's no way it was the sweep. But yet, I've talked to people who literally say that like, you know, they're supposed to tell you when they do a membrane sweep, it can cause an infection. So I'm thinking they gave her the infection and then they give her a C-section because of it. So it's like, it's just really messed up. If you, I don't know if I'm trying to explain it as well as possible. Basically, she wouldn't have had to have a C-section if it weren't for the nurse that morning. Yeah. So basically, someone that worked at the hospital gave her an infection is how I look at it. Because she didn't warn us that a membrane sweep can cause an infection. I know people watching might be thinking, well, you chose to do the membrane sweep. Well, we didn't know it could give her an infection. No one told us. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's super messed up.
And it's just, yeah, even more messed up that they didn't say anything until I already went through like the whole labor.
Literally the whole labor, all the pain, the contractions, all the tests they're doing, they did
so much. Like, I just went through so much. Like, they would put like catheters in me, they drew my blood so many times, they just put like so many stuff in me, and I think it's just kind of hard to talk about.
You're so strong, man. You're so strong. You're so strong.
It's like, it's not what I thought it was going to be, you know? Like, I just thought childbirth and everything was gonna be like beautiful or whatever, but I just feel like everything did not go that way. And because I had to go through both, I'm almost like traumatized. And yeah, they just didn't really give us any time to like talk about anything really, because I don't know, it's just super messed up because she didn't say anything.
It's messed up, it's unfair, it's very traumatizing. Langie, I mean, y'all, when I say she's strong, bro, she literally went through both. She was 9 centimeters dilated, and then out of nowhere they say she has to have a C-section. Yeah. When they could have told us that at like 4 centimeters dilated. They could have told us that when we got to the hospital. The nurse that morning could have told us the membrane sweep causes infections, and we would have never even went that route. I was pissed off at the hospital. I was at the moment that they took her out, they told me to wait in this room. They're like, we'll call you in right before we do the procedure. Bro, they just set me in some random room for like 30 minutes straight. I was getting heated, bro. No one's around. I'm just in this room, bro. Finally, someone walks in. Someone I've never even seen. You could tell she works at the hospital, though. I started like basically cussing this bitch out. I was furious. I'm like, where the fuck is my fiance? Like, I was freaking out, bro. I was pissed. I was livid because I felt like it was super unfair, man. And super unprofessional as well. Luckily, someone right after that, like one of the nurses that was with Langie throughout the labor, she was actually kind of cool nurse. She walked in right then and there when I was going off on this random lady, and she's like, okay, it's time to come in. I went in, I saw her, she was all drugged up. It was super sad, man. And that's also part of the reason we didn't get to film much either. But that's not the point. I don't care about that. Obviously, I'm just glad that Langie's okay and our precious little baby's okay.
Yeah, I just felt like I was like stripped away of a lot of things, you know, in a lot of moments because I had to have the C-section. I feel like I was really drugged out and I was like really almost sleepy to where I almost couldn't like really be there 100%.
You weren't, and it was messed up, and I felt some type of way about it because even after he was born, Langie wasn't even able to like take it in and hold her son until hours after. Yeah. And it was like super messed up. It wasn't a normal C-section either. Nothing about the experience was normal, you guys. I know we didn't talk about it. That's why we're making this video now, just so y'all know exactly what went down and that we did not have a normal labor and delivery.
Yeah. They didn't even tell us what the infection was until after I already had given birth, and they took us into the triage and recovery room. Like, they literally did not tell us.
Everything felt so sus to me.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Everything's, and you know, there could be some nurses and doctors, whoever watching this video. It did not feel right. It did not feel right. Nothing about it felt right. Obviously it's not fair when, you know, I know it happens. It happens. People have to have emergency C-sections, but this was different, bro. There was no communication. There was no communication, and I think the hospital is the ones that caused the infection in the first place. So that's my take on it, and that's why I think it's super messed up. That's
probably why they didn't tell us until the very end.
Yeah, because they know you had a sweep, and they know that's probably what caused the infection, and they know I was borderline in outrage already, and so yeah, it makes sense why they tried to, like, just the whole thing was super messed up. And
you know, at the end of the day, he's here, he's healthy, we're both okay. It was just not an experience that I thought it was gonna be. I mean, I know you should never really expect it to be what you want it to be, but I did not expect it to be like this. I'm not gonna say bad, because it wasn't like bad, because, you know, he's here and everything, but it's just not what I thought it was gonna be at all, and I just didn't know it was gonna, like, hit me this hard, you know, because it still hits me. Like, every time I just feel like I went through, like, so much, and I'm not sure, like, how to handle it, you know.
At the end of the day, you guys, it was just a bad experience, an unfair experience to say the least, and kind of a sus experience, if that makes sense. It felt rushed. It felt like it was their fault. She had an infection, and it just, I don't know, it wasn't good. But Langie is so strong, okay? I mean, she went through all of that, and she's still going through it, but this is the only thing that we can do, is look at this little precious face and think to ourselves, look at his little eyes open. He always has one little eye open. And think to ourselves that, you know, he's healthy, very healthy, the doctors say. You're healthy, you guys are both here. And at the end of the day, I mean, that's what matters to me. So,
that's all that matters is he's here now, you know, so. All said and done, it's just time to heal now, you know, and enjoy our time with your little boy. Your little baby boy, huh? You want to smile? You know you want to.
I love you.
Yeah.
You did so good.
Couldn't have done it without you.
You coulda. You're strong.
No, I need you there. So.
I love you.